Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we dig into SEC filings to uncover the hidden stories behind the numbers. Today, we're looking at CERO Therapeutics Holdings Incorporated, and let's just say their latest report hints at some interesting developments, maybe even some that aren't fully disclosed yet. We've got a special 8K filing here, which usually means something a bit more immediate than a routine financial report. We're going to break down what they've publicly shared in January 2026 and see if we can spot any early trends or potential opportunities. And before we dive in, if you enjoy these straightforward breakdowns of corporate filings, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Also, we have a growing community over on Discord, linked in the description below, so come join the conversation. Alright, what we're looking at today is a Form 8K filing. Think of this as a report of a significant event that shareholders should know about, like a major deal, a leadership change, or in this case, some important company updates. It is filed pretty quickly after the event happens. The key date here is the 7th of January 2026. This is when the earliest event reported in this filing took place. The company behind this report is CERO Therapeutics Holdings Incorporated. They are focused on the healthcare sector, specifically in developing new treatments. Now, let's talk about what they have registered for trading. They have common stock, which is pretty standard for any publicly traded company. This represents ownership in the company. They also have warrants. Warrants are like options, giving the holder the right to buy company stock at a certain price in the future. The specific detail here is that each warrant is for a very small fraction of a share, 1/2000th to be exact. This is a detail that might be worth keeping an eye on as it relates to future dilution if these warrants are exercised. CERO Therapeutics has checked the box indicating they are an emerging growth company. This means they are a smaller company and get to follow some slightly different, often less strict reporting rules than larger, more established businesses. It can give them some flexibility as they grow. This section, item 7.01, is often used for what is called regulation FD disclosure. Basically, it is for sharing information with the public that might also be shared with investors or analysts, making sure everyone gets the same news at the same time. On that, the 7th of January date, CERO Therapeutics published a presentation. They plan to use this in meetings with investors and analysts. So this filing is essentially to make that presentation publicly available. Ensuring fair disclosure, they've attached this presentation as Exhibit 99.1. Moving on to item 8.01, which covers other events. This is where companies can report news that doesn't neatly fit into the other categories. Here is the real meat of the other events. On the 7th of January, they issued a press release about a clinical update on their phase 1 trial for something called CER-1236. This drug is being tested for acute myeloid leukemia, or IML, in a trial they call CERTAIN-1. The press release highlights key safety data and something they call a platelet transfusion, free interval observed in a patient with myelodysplastic syndrome, which is often a precursor to IML. This is significant because it gives us insight into the company's actual business operations and the progress of their drug development pipeline, which is usually the core value driver for biotech companies. The first exhibit listed is the presentation from January 2026. This is likely where they elaborate on the clinical update and their overall business strategy. Exhibit 99.2 is the press release we just discussed in detail. It's this press release that provides the specific update on their key drug candidate and its trial results. Exhibit 104 is the cover page interactive data file, which is pretty standard for these filings and mainly helps with the digital formatting of the report. And finally, the report is signed and dated the 7th of January 2026 by Chris Ehrlich, the Chief Executive Officer. This confirms the company's top leadership is aware of and approving this filing. Now, let's put on our investor hats and try to understand what all this means. The most critical piece of information from this filing is the press release detailing the clinical update. For a company like CERO Therapeutics, its success hinges on the progress of its drug candidates. The fact that they're providing an update on a phase 1 trial for CER-1236, especially highlighting safety data and a positive outcome in a patient with MDS-AML, is a big deal. Phase 1 trials are all about testing safety and finding the right dosage. If they're seeing encouraging safety signals and a meaningful platelet transfusion free interval in a patient, it suggests the drug might be working as intended, which is a crucial step towards potentially getting it approved and to market. This is the core story here, and it is a positive development that could significantly impact the company's future valuation. The presentation, Exhibit 99.1, likely contains more details and context around these trial results, and might even offer forward. Looking statements about their development plans or commercialization strategies. Looking at the overall situation, CERO Therapeutics is operating as an emerging growth company. This status means they have more room to grow and develop their products without the intense scrutiny that larger companies face. However, it also means they're likely at an earlier stage of their business cycle, which often comes with higher risk associated with clinical trial outcomes. The mention of warrants is another point to consider for potential investors. While they can be a way for companies to raise capital, a large number of outstanding warrants can lead to significant dilution for existing shareholders, if those warrants are exercised. In my opinion, the strength of CERO Therapeutics lies in the potential of its drug pipeline, as evidenced by this clinical update. The key opportunity here is the successful development and eventual approval of CERO-1236. The primary risk, as with any biotech company at this stage, is the inherent uncertainty of clinical trials. There is no guarantee that the drug will prove effective or safe in larger trials, and regulatory approval is never assured. The market's reaction to this news, both in terms of the stock price and investor sentiment, will be closely watched. If the company can continue to deliver positive data and move its pipeline forward, it could represent a significant growth opportunity. However, investors should be aware of the volatility and risks associated with early-stage drug development. That's our breakdown of CERO Holdings Incorporated's latest filing. What are your thoughts on their clinical progress and future prospects? Let us know in the comments below. If you found this analysis helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more deep dives into corporate filings. And don't forget to join our Discord community, linked in the description for further discussion. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.